So after you cut out your pattern pieces, no matter what you're making, the next step is always going to be marking your pattern pieces. The more pieces you have, the little bit more time it will take. Also, the more intricate and more like tailored garment, there's going to be more markings. This is going to have a little bit more markings than maybe some of yours, but it is important to go piece by piece and mark. So I'm just going to start with this one. It doesn't really matter which one you start with, but there's a couple of things that are important. So this pattern, when I unpin a couple of them, it's nice that this fabric has a clear wrong side of the fabric and a clear right side of the fabric. What I mean by that is this is the side that's going to be showing when he's wearing the pants. This is going to be the inside. Not all of yours have a very clear right side and wrong side, but it is very important at this part that you mark the insides for being the wrong side, because once this is detached, it could get very confusing, like directionally, if they look very similar. So the first thing you're going to mark, doesn't really matter where, so this is piece 8. So I'm just going to take a chalk pencil. I have them up in the front in the mark and measure bin, and I took yellow so you can see it a little better. These wash off, and we're marking on the inside anyways, but it's a chalk pencil, so it will wash off. So I'm just going to make an 8 on here, and you're going to do it on both of these, okay? So that when this is no longer on it, I know that it's piece 8 when I need to get it out. Then I'm going to look at the rest of this, and actually, we got lucky. There's no other markings on this piece. The only thing I have to do is mark the number. I like to keep the tissue paper pattern piece on until I use it, and then I take it off as the directions tell me I'm going to be working on the tie belt. So that one's done, and I can just place it in the done pile. Okay, let's see if I can get this one.
I know the pant legs have darts.
They have darts. Okay, we'll do that one. This one, same idea. You kind of just analyze it. There's no other markings. I would just unpin one pin, open the inside. I'm gonna mark a 7, 7, and I'll keep going. Done. You can put a pin back in there too if you want. Here. Let's go to the pants so you can see a little bit more of a detailed marking. Ooh, this one's a good one too. Okay, so this one has a dart. So you guys have all practiced darts, but now you'll actually be seeing it come to life on an actual pattern piece. So this piece is flipped over, just fit better on the fabric, which is fine. Which size did you cut out?
20.
20. So I only have to mark the dart that has a 20 on it. And so I just want to make sure I'm marking the right one. So I'm going to unpin a couple of these, but you guys can, do you see the dart symbols on there? I know it's really faint, but it's on there. Just make sure I mark the right one. Okay, so it's the one in the middle. And so what you would do for a dart, just like we did with our sample, go to the mark and measure bin, grab out some of this chalky paper, okay? And now we'll be able to transfer this marking onto both of the back pieces. This is the back piece. So I'm gonna put this right in between, chalky on both sides, and you're just gonna slide that in, just like we did for our sample, okay? And then I'm going to trace over the dart symbol, putting a little force behind it. Just like we did for the sample. And then there's like small circles here and at the bottom down here. I like to make those little X's because then it tells me, okay, that's the point of my dart, the very tip. And then over here, it's gonna help me line it up. And you're basically gonna bring those X's together just like you bring the line. So I like to make little X's like so, and then we'll see how it transferred. Sometimes you're like, didn't put enough force, have to try again. So let's open this up and see. Okay, so I will also say you could have used like yellow or something. It would show up a little bit better. what you can also do once it's on there, like I can still see it nice and close. You can also just like go over it if you want to, but now you have your marking, and then eventually, once your directions say it, you'll know where to put the darts. Okay, so it should have transferred on both, which it did. So you're just going to make those markings. In addition to the darts on this piece, I'm gonna mark somewhere that it's piece 2, just so I remember that it's my back piece. So I'm just gonna make a 2 on both of the sides, just like that. And then I'm gonna look and see if there's any other markings that I need to put on. On this piece, it's not. So I've got my darts. I've marked my number, so I know that it's piece 2, which is the back. And then I can fold this one up and add it to the done pile. Can you give me this one? So this one, again, since these are jeans, there's a little bit more markings. It's a little bit more technical, but this one shows some other markings we haven't seen just quite yet. So I'll show you how to do those as well. Okay. So looking at this piece, you know, there's a lot of information on here. The grain line, we used that when we were laying out our pattern pieces, so you don't ever have to mark that. It tells us right here exactly where the crotch line is going to be. You can transfer that if you want. It's also, there's some large circles up here that say like the different sizes, and this is going to actually show you where to place the pocket on there. So if we don't transfer these markings, your directions are going to say something like, place the pocket on the 2 large dots, and you're going to be like, what 2 large dots? But if you have the markings, then you'll be able to know where that goes. So what I typically do for any time there's large dots, I use this again. I slide this in between. Again, there's like 3 different sizes here. I only have to mark the size that I'm doing, so I'm just going to make an X. I always do X's because it's easier to do that than a circle. Okay, and then I would slide this over to the other large dot, and then I'm also going to do an X here. I try to put like where the X crosses, like in the center of the large dot. That's just something that I do. And then in addition to the large dots, we will have to mark, it says stitching line left side only. So I technically only have to mark this on this piece because that's the left side of the leg. You can also just mark it on both if you want to, but I would have to use a tracing paper to also transfer this and that large dot. Okay, when you're going through each piece by piece, if you're not sure if something is a marking, just ask. I'll let you know if it is or not. There's also, it looks like a small dot down here that has a 20 by it, so I would have to mark that as well, and I would just do a little X. Okay, so you will, after you cut your pieces out, really go piece by piece, do all your markings. If you like unpinned all of this and then you didn't do any of your markings, you'll have to probably put it back on, so you just have to go backwards. So you really want to take the time to do this. It will set you up for success once you get sewing in your directions. Any questions?